morning. I'm Rabindran, as the board says. I primarily thank the organizers for inviting me to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which I've been sort of living in for the last 25 years. I would like to start by reading out a poem written by one of my dear friends who's a lawyer in the Netherlands, a practicing lawyer. He is a guy with cerebral palsy on a wheelchair. His name is Vaibhav Adlaka. I hate having to respond wherever I go, the park or the pond, when people talk about my CP. They make me feel low. Why couldn't they just let it go? I am a normal kid. Can't they see? Why do they keep reminding me about my problems and my CP? I know I'm going to have a life dependent on others to thrive. Why do people not see with their sympathies? They're not healing but hurting me. I'm trying to be as normal as can be, always trying to do what I can do. So why do you pull me back by reminding me of the speed and legs I lack? I was asked to talk about what is cerebral palsy, but let me say it not by this definition, but the way I understand it. It's a irreversible damage occurring to the immature brain, leading to a sort of incoordination between the brain and the muscles. It has variable etiologies. This damage occurs just before birth, during birth, or immediately after birth. Often associated with epilepsy, speech problems, vision compromise, and cognitive dysfunction. Prevalence, as Dr. Menon was talking a little earlier, in our country, we don't have any proper statistics, but this is in the US. 2 to 4 out of every 1,000 babies in the US are born with cerebral palsy. It was described by Dr. Little 150 years ago and was called as Little's disease. During the past 3 decades, considerable advances have been made in obstetric and neonatal care, but unfortunately there's been virtually no change in incident of CP. There are different types of CP: athetoid, ataxic, rigid, spastic, atonic, and mixed, depending on where the damage is in the brain. Classification topographically: monoplegic, which we in Spastic Society hardly see because they are mainstreamed. Paraplegic, hemiplegic, triplegic, quadriplegic, and diplegic. Causes, as I mentioned a little earlier: prenatal 70%, natal 5 to 10%, and postnatal the remaining of them. Management is occupational therapy, physiotherapy, speech or communication therapy, special education, and adaptive aids and equipment and assistive technology, which is slowly coming into our country, surgical whenever required, and medication when there are associated problems. There are some medications which do help in reducing the stiffness in the body, but most of it cannot reach our country, our population, because of the cost. What is substantially disabling cerebral palsy? Mobility, communication, learning. You'll wonder, because Sidhu is going to talk after me, and you'll wonder how learning comes in the picture. But not everybody is a Sidhu or a Vaibhav. Many of our children have difficulties in learning too. Self-care is a major problem because most of our children stay in rural areas where adaptive assistive devices equipment can hardly reach. Self-direction, that also is a debatable point when you talk to Sidhu. Independent living, they do need dependence, and they are dependent, as Vaibhav's poem rightly says. Economic, there are people like Sidhu who can be economically well, and as Mr. Abraham mentioned a little earlier, that we professionals don't earn so much in this country. Economic sufficiency. The future. Persons with cerebral palsy with proper rehabilitation includes physical, occupational, and communicational therapy, special education, and vocational training, where abilities are developed and disabilities are reduced. At Spastics Society, whenever we meet a group of people, we are always proud that we have developed the abilities of many people. Sidhu is going to say a little few things about us, I hope. Can to be included in mainstream society if proper aids and assistive technology and community services are provided. Spastics Society of Karnataka is a non-governmental organization dedicated to the welfare of persons with neuromuscular disorders and developmental disabilities. The society provides a comprehensive package of diagnostic and intervention services to persons with cerebral palsy, autism, mental retardation, multiple disabilities, and learning disabilities. It's a one-stop place where we have both the medical and the paramedical and vocational training for children with neuromuscular disorders. Our journey has been over 3 decades and have been able to serve about 20,000 persons with disabilities in all our programs, both rural and urban, and have learned that with a little help we can scale any mountain. Thank you.